Hi everyone, my name is Rick, and if you're new to my channel, my garden is about growing Hoyas and orchids and other tropical plants. I do a video every Sunday, and I mostly talk about Hoyas, as the name of the channel implies, and I'll show you some orchids and some philodendrons from time to time. So today's video, I'm going to concentrate on showing an update on my lacunosas, and I'm also going to do for the first time a Hoya diagnosis, which I'll take a Hoya that's not looking too good, I'll look at it, and I'll diagnose it and see what I would do. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with my strategy for saving this Hoya. So I'm going to try to do that every week that I'm in the garden. I'll diagnose a Hoya and I will work the problem out with you guys and see if it works out, and I'll do some updates on how it turns out. So over here I want to show you at the beginning of the gate there was an Australis I have it on my neighbor's side of the fence, and this is Hoya Australis orimicola, and I don't know if the sun's causing it problems, but this is actually 3 or 4 umbels. It's actually 4. One is really small, and they all opened up at the same time. They're really fragrant. This is probably day 4 or 5, and yeah, it's cooler weather. These Australis do seem to bloom in the cooler weather. That's from my experience. And this Hoya has traveled quite a bit. It's planted about 6 feet down the fence, and it's come over to my yard, and it's traveled all the way over here, and it's blooming. So I'll show you guys. So here's the vine, and this is your typical foliage for orimicola, and it seems to be getting a lot of peduncles at almost every node. And see if you can follow her. She actually jumped the fence over there, and there's quite a big size plant on the other side, you know, in a 6-inch pot. So she's been there. I've had this plant for maybe 2 years, and she's grown quite a bit. And this is the first time it's bloomed for me, so I was pretty excited. The smell is pretty intense, actually, so it was nice to come out, walk by the path and smell it every time, so that's kind of nice. A lot of Hoyas are fragrant, but some Hoyas are so fragrant that just by walking by you can smell them. Some others you really have to get your nose up into the buds, into the flowers to smell them. So over here, not much going on. Still recovering from the tenting and from the strong winds that we had. We had an outer band from Hurricane Ian, about 75 miles. If you watch back a couple of videos, you'll see there was a branch from that tree that fell down that was quite large and knocked down a lot of these plants, so it's kind of messy. Slowly getting back to getting the garden back in shape, and luckily it wasn't too bad. So there's a orchid called Why Not, and she blooms quite a bit. She's getting so large I might have to take it over to my orchid buddy and have him show me how to split this one. And then over here I want to show you a couple of cool foliage Hoyas. This one over here, if you like veins, this one satisfies that. It's some type of verticillata. I haven't seen the bloom, but it's really veiny and has all these dimples. This is AH 741. And I will be in Thailand next Sunday, so I have a appointment to go visit AH Hoya Nursery, and I might do a video there. So please hit that notifications bar so you know when I'm uploading videos, because I'll be in Thailand, so I don't know what my Wi-Fi and all that stuff is going to be like. So my videos are going to be coming on either whatever day is convenient and not on a Sunday, but I'll give you guys plenty of notifications. So that is my she took a little beating from her hurricane winds, and this is the Imperialis palawanica. She has a couple of peduncles up there, but I haven't seen blooms on this plant. But as you can see, This plant is probably 8 to 9 feet long. And she's kind of grown into that large vanda there. And over here I have another Hoya that's doing something really cool I want to show you guys. This is the Nap 3. It's from Indonesia. And I just noticed that with a little bit of sun and cooler weather, I don't know if you can see, but that splash turns pink, which is pretty cool looking. So that is Hoya Nap 3 NAP 03 from Indonesia. So I want to show you the retusa that has some buds, and that's a kind of a rarity for me here in Florida because this time of year it's still rather warm. It's still highs in the 80s, and we get lows at night in the 60s. So I was surprised to see it in bud. This is in 20 odd years. This is the second time I've been able to bloom this Hoya, and the buds are not open yet, but as you can see, they're probably a day or two away. There's 3 buds there, and I have another retusa that has 2 buds. So let me show you how big this guy is. If you see my Instagram, I think I have a reel on there. So, but she's about 6 feet up, and she's almost touching the ground over there. The few last tendrils of this Hoya, so it's pretty massive. And I didn't realize that it climbed up into the wire up there where they have the light bulbs, and it's climbing up there as well. And there's over there Miss Swiffer. She's watching us. She loves coming out here in the sun. It's actually a beautiful day out, probably like 73 degrees out right now, and it's really really sunny and not humid, which is kind of nice. For us here in Florida, we get humidity from May until late October usually, so this is nice. So let me get to the lacunosis, and then I'll show you guys the plant diagnosis. So next Sunday I'll be traveling, like I mentioned before, and I will not have a video on Sunday, but on Tuesday I plan on going to Chatuchak market, which is one of the biggest plant markets in the world, and I think they have a lot of Hoyas, so I'll probably shoot a video there and upload it by Wednesday, if at the latest on Thursday. So please stick around for that next week. So here are the lacunosis I'm going to show you today. Here are some of they're still kind of small, the ones that I got about a month or 2 ago. They're growing, but they need to be potted up to grow further. So I'll show you guys those. But let me start over here with my larger ones. This one is the, at one time used to go around by Croniana and Eskimo, and then it changed to Croniana Silver. And this one is actually gets pretty silvery. So this is a pretty good size plant. It's in a 4-inch pot. I do keep it on the drier side. As you can see, the leaves look a little dehydrated, but it blooms quite a bit. So when we have some rain or I water it, it gets all plump again, and it puts out it has a lot of peduncles, and it's a pretty happy plant for a plant this big to be growing in a 4-inch pot. So I have to give it quite a bit of liquid fertilizer, about every month. I try to do that on that one. And this is Hoya lacunosa Punsak, I believe it's called. As you can see, it has slender, more pointy leaves. Again, this one is just about to open and bloom. It does have a lot of peduncles. It probably has about 12 peduncles. I've counted at one time. But yeah, it's another easy one to grow. It grows pretty fast. This plant probably quadrupled in size over the summer. So that's Hoya Punsak. And this is a Hoya I got from Indonesia as lacunosa silver. The leaves tend to be a little thinner more elongated. So you can see some of them kind of just all green, but they do sun stress a little bit, as you can see there. That one's getting quite a bit of sun. And that is a lacunosa silver from Indonesia. And this one is a Hoya Rebecca, which is, I think, a lacunosa obscura cross. As you can see, it really does sun stress quite nicely. This is just beginning to blush. I moved it into the sun a few weeks ago. And the weather, it's interesting. Here, when the weather gets cooler, it brings out the sun stressing even more. So that is Hoya Rebecca there. And then I'll get to that guy last, because that's one of my favorites. So there's Swiffer there still. So let me start over here with these guys. I can understand the appeal of lacunosas for a number of reasons. Number one is that there's quite a variety of them within this species of Hoya. There's probably hundreds. I've seen so many new ones come out, like almost like monthly. There's a couple of new ones, and it's pretty fascinating to see what they're finding. They're just variants of Hoya lacunosa, and some of them are pretty distinct and very interesting. I can understand that people like them because they can grow a whole bunch in a small apartment setting. I think a lot of Hoya collectors are indoor growers and don't have like large backyards or a possibility to grow them outside in the winter. So I think I have two different kinds of Hoya lacunosa Asami, and this is basically an albo marginata lacunosa. As you can see, the white is on the outer part of the leaf, and it's quite attractive. A big full basket of this Hoya is going to be a really pretty foliage plant. And then I have this one, is surprising me. This is another clone of Asami. And if you, let me see if I can focus on there. There you go. This new growth is beautiful. It's coming in a little paler, but you can see there's quite a bit of white around the edge, because this clone was, when I got this piece, didn't have a lot of variegation on the edge, but you can see slight, but the newer growth seems to have a lot more. And this is the Hoya Amarillo, lacunosa Amarillo, that I featured last video. And I still think it's a mineral uptake issue with this Hoya, that it gets the paler spots on there and not a virus. I noticed that when you fertilize it, in my case here in Florida at least, if you fertilize it, it stays green. If you skip for fertilizing it, it'll turn this color. And from an email I read from somebody in Indonesia, they recommend starving it from fertilizer and keeping it in a brighter, a little bit of sun for that one. And this guy over here is another one that came with no name. Big leaves on the darker side. I'm not sure about dark, but they do have, they're mostly splashy. See, I can't focus today, sorry about that. You can see that they're like over 95% splash, and like especially this newer one. So it's, some of them are, these really splashy ones are really hard to tell apart. Like this one from the one I'm going to show you at the end. And this guy over here is one of my favorites, and I seem to be having a little trouble focusing today. And the airplanes insist on flying over, but we'll get through this video. So this one, I think it might be like a mint coin, or they come up with so many different names. I can't keep up, so I just have them all as a splashy lacunosas. But as you can see, this one is pretty cool. Broader leaves. They tend to be larger than the other ones I have, and it's really nice. It's really splashy and a lot of dimples. Then back here I have this guy. This one had more succulent, smaller leaves with pointy tips there, as you can see. But as they mature, like the leaf changes, like this is a newer leaf, so I don't know. It's another splashy lacunosa. And this one I just got recently, like within maybe a week or two. And this one is a clone they found in, it's a Finnish lacunosa from Medaway Gunan Orchids. So that's that one. And I really like this one because it has quite a bit of texture on the leaf, and they seem to be a little thicker. That's a really cute one. And there's another one back here hiding, and I think this one, from what I've seen online, they call it snow leopard or leopard something. It's another splashy lacunosa, but has a little bit more green speckling coming through, as you can see there. More airplanes. So those are the little ones, and I want to show you guys my favorite. And this one came to me as a Hoya lacunosa splash, but it is so splashy. At first look, it almost looks like an albino leaf, albino leaves coming through. As you can see, let me see if I can zoom in on those leaves, because they're quite stunning. Like full splash. But if you look at the older leaves, you can see a little bit of green coming through. So you know there's chlorophyll underneath these albino looking leaves. And now for the Hoya diagnosis part of this video. I have a Hoya chicken farm, and the reason I brought it out is because I've noticed over the last few weeks is that every time I water it, the leaves never get really plump. They seem to be a little dehydrated. So anytime that happens, I suspect that it has some root issues. Maybe the roots are dead, maybe they're just not optimal. So what do I usually do when this happens? And then another clue is that it's really puts out hardly any growth, and that it hasn't done that. It hasn't put out any new leaves or shoots in like over a month. So what do I do when I get a Hoya like this? Well, the best thing to do is ask the question, what can I do to this Hoya to get the maximum amount of plant material and growth over the next 3 months? So usually the best thing to do is cut down all the roots and take cuttings, as many cuttings as you can, and reroot them. Then you start out with a fresh root system, and usually by springtime this plant will start growing over the spring and summer season like gangbusters, and you'll end up with way more plant material than if you just leave it in this pot and hope something miraculous happens. So let me get a pair of clippers, and I'm going to cut this Hoya. So I was able to get 4 nice cuttings of this Hoya. I looked at the roots, and some of the roots looked okay, but most of them were either dead or they're really fine hair roots, and that is usually you can tell those roots are dead. So I have my 4 cuttings here, and then I have these cups. These are like mouthwash cups. They're about 3 ounces. You can buy like 500 of these for like $20. And there's coconut chunks. So I use 5 parts coconut chunks to 1 part coarse perlite. So just a little bit of coarse perlite and mostly coconut chunks. And all this stuff that I use in my garden If you look at the description below, there is a link to my Amazon store, and all these products are on there that you can purchase for yourself. So what I do is I have my cups ready, and then I already do the cutting so that there's at least an inch of stem underneath the node. And you kind of want to insert the node. I kind of like to put it on the edge. This way I can watch the roots come in and see if there's any problems. And you want that node just above the surface of your mix there. And then I take one of these clips to secure it, because you don't want it to be moving around as it roots. So as you can see, it's right above the surface there, a good inch into the mix, and here is my first cutting that I planted. And here's my second one, and so on. So I go and do this, and sometimes I have a large plant and I want to start cuttings to sell on my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group where I sell Hoyas, so also in the description below you'll find that. And I'll take a plant, I'll cut it into one node cuttings, and I'll start trays of this so that I have plants available to sell. And that's sometimes how I recover when you buy plants. They tend to be expensive, so if you can sell and recover some of the money that you spent, it's a great way to acquire more Hoyas. Or you can trade them with other people, or you can use the money to buy more Hoyas that you want and expand your collection. So yeah, that's basically what I do. And after I insert all the cuttings into the mix, I put it into a humidity bin, which is basically a large clear storage tub with preferably a clear lid, and you want to put that on top of a heating mat. So that is it for today. The dogs are out, all the neighbors' kids are out screaming, airplanes are going by. It's kind of a sign that maybe today I shouldn't have done a video, but it's towards the end. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back next couple of videos that I'm doing from Thailand. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you from Bangkok.